back to the Spiritual AI podcast. Today, I've got a beautiful guest with me, Sally Ann Saint. She's over in the UK, so far away over the water. Sally is the founder of Wise Woman Guide. She's a Reiki master, EFT practitioner. She facilitates cacao ceremonies and a life coach. And she helps women reconnect to their inner wisdom and transform life's challenges into self-love through one-on-one work, women's circles, and retreats. Welcome to the podcast, Sally.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here. So thank you, lovely lady.
I am very excited to have you here with me today. So let's dive in. And before we get into all the juicy stuff, why don't you share with us a little bit about where you come from? Who is Sally Ann? And just give us a little bit of background about where you come from and kind of what your journey has been.
Yeah, sure. So I live in South Wales in the UK, so in a small town called Monmouth. I've got a 15-year-old son and a very, very, very rambunctious chihuahua who is just pretty amazing. For me personally, my journey has been, I've had to reclaim my own truth. I was a farmer's daughter growing up, but both my parents had been abused, and so they didn't know how to cultivate a safe home. And so for me, then I was abused also. But living in fear in that kind of energy was not, you accept it. It is what it is when you're growing up with it. But then in order to actually expand and grow, I had to face where I'd come from. And so for a large part of my life, I'd blocked my childhood. Then as I was feeling safer in my life, things started to come my way. And so I've learned how to step in, acknowledge, see the truth of everything, because we can't avoid things. And the reality is that we all have life experiences. We all have life experiences we're meant to have. And as women, we do have the capacity to be extremely compassionate with other people, but we need to be able to bring that compassion to our own doors. And so with my healing journey, I became physically ill as well. I developed an illness called ME when I was 16, myalgia and encephalomyelitis. It's a full-on thing. And at the time, people weren't recovering from it. But I'm so grateful that I had that illness. Number one, it took me on the path of holistic natural therapy. So I started to go into reflexologists, Reiki practitioners, massage therapists, chiropractors, because medical profession couldn't help me. But also when I was touching these therapies, I was touching the lives of women who were truly living spiritually, the open way then. Yeah, they were authentic. And so it took me on that path. But also, I know if I hadn't been taken ill at that time, I don't believe I'd have been here, because my boundaries regarding men, because of where I came from, I honestly think I'd have been dead. So there's no dispute in it. It saved my life. So for the first 5 years, I was extremely ill. But in amongst all this training, I was recovering. So in, having all these therapies, I then started training Reiki, which was the first one. And my Reiki practitioner, went on a shamanic retreats regularly, and there was one coming up, and she just happened to say to me, "Would you like to come?" And I went, and that was it. It just completely opened me up to be a whole 4 days away from, because I was still living at home, 4 days away from home, being around real people, really leaning in and really feeling. And that was it then. And my life was set. So it's been a reclamation of my truth, the unraveling of things that I'd numbed, but then being compassionate enough to keep on holding when things came. And in amongst that, I understood that women are flipping phenomenal, and
Oh, yes.
what what we go through, and we still look normal. We're very good at doing everything's okay because we can hold everything together. But my journey's been over years, and I still lean in. We're still growing. Everyone is, and that's the gift if we continue to still grow. But I'm so thankful of everything that's happened, because when women come to me and they say they've experienced something, I know exactly where they've been. And
Yeah.
you can't buy authenticity. You can't, all courses and books are amazing, but to actually have lived something that a woman comes to you with. So I understand what it's like to be small. A lot of women we shrink ourselves. I understand what it's like to
Yeah.
not have a voice because mine was completely disconnected. I understand what it's like if you become ill or you have major things come, or there's a pattern in your life comes up, but you don't quite know where it comes from, because we're really good at numbing it when we need to. So I get
Yeah.
it. Not coming from a glass house when I work with other people, and I feel really blessed that when I did go into becoming self-employed and bringing forth all that I do, is that women actually know it. That when I'm sat with them in whatever form it is, they know I've been where they've been and where they currently are, maybe. And
Mm,
that's what makes the difference. I feel very honored because you put women in the right situation and you make them feel safe,
mm.
they expand and they are phenomenal every
Yeah.
single time.
Very true. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that's a powerful story. I think, I've said it over the last, I've done a few interviews over the last few days, and every single one of them have come through something big in their life, and it's kind of set them up to be able to serve and help other people. So, you're one of those phenomenal women who have been through things in your life, and, you've come out the other side stronger and standing in
Mm,
service to help other women. So thank you, essentially, for
yeah.
doing the inner work and for helping other people now. So how let's just see. So you've obviously come through all of this, the trauma, and the experiences as a child. What do you think has been the most helpful modality or tool that's helped you reclaim your voice, reclaim your power?
Um, Along the way with my training, I did something with a spiritual teacher called Inner Reconciliation.
Mm,
GP Walsh, his name is, so he's still around. But when I stepped into his work was about holding for everything that you feel that comes. And we get triggered by things in our everyday life, and we
mm,
do. But the response to is actually something that goes back. And with that ability, it's about listening. And so
mm,
rather than feeling a victim to a present situation, when it's a very strong response, is understanding, okay, that strong response is mine. Where does it come from?
yeah.
And so it's that to hold for. Um, I got taught with my childhood to only live a certain way. And it's in a very small box. You've got to be a good girl. You've got to be nice. You've got to not be seen. So I was just, but you vote. And like I became like Sunshine Sally. But
Mm,
and I am a warm outward, but also it didn't allow for anything else. I was curtailed. I couldn't even laugh too
yeah.
loud, because
Yeah.
So it's all those things. So I was in that. So when I started to hold for the true feeling, and just even that shift of, okay, this is a really strong response. Why is that?
Mm,
Yeah. And it's that moment of just questioning. So rather than feeling a victim to a current situation, it's okay, this is really big how I'm feeling. And just holding for that, our bodies are amazing. And I've started to understand as well that yes, it's really important that when memories do come up to hold for them, but sometimes you just need to hold for a feeling, because that feeling can be so intense that
mm,
that in itself is the healing. So it's about connecting to a feeling, connecting to my heart, and it was allowing myself to feel the things that I hadn't been trained to do then, because we just get trained by those around us to,
mm,
so it was just to go to the areas that were the unacceptable. Yeah, maybe the shadow, you can call it as well. There's all these various names, but it's all the things that we
mm.
just were knows then when you're younger. And for me to step into them, there was feeling, and that's what's helped me immensely, is
Yeah,
opening up all those.
it is. It's really powerful. So, essentially what you're talking about is bringing awareness to what's happening in your body and in the mind, right? And then
Yeah.
creating the space to actually open that up and see where is this coming from, and kind of dissecting those things. And it's, it can be a hard thing to do, but essentially, if you view that trigger or that thing that's coming up for you, is if you view it as a gift, it almost becomes a beautiful process, but for looking, peeling back the layers and looking at it. because there's so much healing that comes from that. There's so much release that comes from that. So, what is there a specific technique? Like if there's some of our female listeners, even men, doesn't matter. If there is somebody listening right now and they feel very, very stuck in past trauma, is there an exercise or a book that you can recommend or a process that you can recommend for them to start this process of healing?
Yeah, the first start is, and that was again, I was taught by the spiritual teacher, is that the mechanisms and the things like that, even feeling stuck, it's the bodyguard, is what they were taught. So all these things are keep us small, keep us safe. That's the origins of all these things that we have around us. Is that so? If you can just imagine that it's the most amazing bodyguard around you. So yeah, of course it feels restrictive, but if you just see it as not the enemy, you then don't go into that fight, because all of us and anyone that's listening, if you're currently feeling like you're blocked, you will want to push through it. You don't want to feel like it. Well, that's creating that antagonistic energy of fighting it. Where if you just, okay, this is a bodyguard, and it's just, for me, it helped me massively, because you almost visualize a bodyguard around you, and you can actually then, everything is just allowing a little bit of space. So you can just have a little conversation with it and say, do you know something? I'd really just love a little bit of space. But in that, you're dropping the fight. And it just takes a moment to see it, because no matter what you're experiencing in your adult life, you are here, you're a flipping miracle. And whatever you went through in order that you adapted, it worked. We can be really hard on ourselves as adults when we see these things around us. Well, I don't want to function like this. I don't like how I'm feeling. But if you can understand that all these adaptations were the only things available to you as a child, and then going through, when you were going through a trauma, then you adapted. So it worked. You're here.
Yeah.
So it's about that little bit of just trying to step in compassion, because I know we're so good at being really hard on ourselves, but it's that keeps that block in place,
Yeah.
because we're not acknowledging it. But it's just that little flip. And it's just then, for me, it helps immensely with the visualization of just every time it comes up, that's the bodyguard.
Yeah.
It
It's
drops
a
the fight.
Yeah, it's a really powerful visual, that, right? If you think about, it's when you feeling restricted, or it's that trauma that comes up for you during the day, you can visualize it as somebody that's holding you, and then you can say, look, just let me go just a little bit so I can breathe, and then just visualizing their arms releasing, right? And then that grip being released. That's a really, really powerful exercise. Thank you for sharing that. And the
You're welcome.
visual.
It
Yeah.
helped me immensely. And when I went into that, I'd done a lot of work, but when I went into that, then it went really deep, because I was understanding what it was. So I was no longer fighting the mechanism, and then, my goodness, could stuff come.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Um, yeah, I can just see it, right? I can just see that, the hold and then the release. It's beautiful. So, you obviously have mentioned a couple of teachers, but who's been your biggest teacher?
My,
Who's the one person that's really had a profound impact in your life?
my son. And even saying it, I feel very emotional.
Oh, wow.
Having him, even when I became pregnant, I knew that there were things I was never going to pass on. And
Oh, yeah.
when I gave birth to him, there's a mechanism that comes around when you have a child. So there's all the things you're meant to do societally. And I was like, no, 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 no. But I also saw really deeply the family links,
Yeah.
and it was just the most synchronistic thing. I became a single parent when he was 2. He had to have an operation when he was tiny, but it was all these things. But because it brought out this unconditional love, but also I was receiving unconditional love. I could feel it when he was in my womb. And for me, it was the first time unconditional love. And
Yeah.
and to experience that, it changed me on a cellular level. Now, I had major things come up when I was with him, so there were lots of things I had to face, but I understood that without him, I wouldn't have shifted on that really deep level. He made me see, and he's 15 now, and there's so many things that if I have something come up that's my old programming, I'll evaluate it. because
Mhm.
I've got this, and he's always been the most phenomenal teacher. He's an old soul as well when he came through, but he inspires me every day. And because I've been a single parent for a long time as well, I see that the impact that he's going to create in the world. But I also know that the impact on the world that makes a difference is women. And it inspires me to do the work that I do, because every woman
Yeah.
that lives her truth and ignites changes the world that he's going to walk into.
Yeah.
So he's been the most profound, because it's a daily journey. So I
Oh yeah.
have worked with many teachers, but having a child beside you is that daily lean in. And
Yeah.
the things that came through, the things I had transformed, and it made me go really deep with my family history, because I knew it was the full stop was here. That
Yeah.
was, the abuse, and that kind of energy line, and
Mhm.
that blood line, it stops with this when it gets transformed. And so
Yeah.
he's made me stand up. I've got into situations, there's times I've been shaking with fear because there was things I needed to really work with. I did it every single time because of him.
Yeah. It's, you know what, it's such a powerful journey when you realize that as a mother, you have the power to stop generational trauma. And when we do the inner work, we have to, so many of us have taken on this responsibility for this lifetime, right? If I just think for myself, the things that I've gone through, generational stuff, and then also I've got two girls, so then passing this on to them, teaching them about awareness and intuition, teaching them about, having the emotional intelligence. And I actually see that in them now, and I see the difference it's making in their relationships, which we didn't have in ours. So the same with you and your son, like the relationship that you have with him now is changing the outcomes that he will have, not just walking into the world, but with his family, right? So it's really, really powerful. And you know what? Well done. You're well
Thank you.
done. Single mother
Yeah.
raising a teenage boy in this world, like it is, like, well done. You're strong. You're a strong mother. You've come so far. You should be really, really, proud of yourself. You
Thank
know,
you so much.
we
Thank you.
we forget, and you've said this previously, and I wanted to mention it, but I will bring it in here, is that we forget that we've come so far. And we forget to be kind to ourselves sometimes. So the if you can take anything away from this conversation, is just be kind to yourself and always remember how far you've come.
100%. We're walking miracles, to be alive, to be
Yeah.
here, to be leaning in. Do you know, who wants to feel uncomfortable? Who wants to feel the pain? And yet that's the way of true living and
Mm.
feeling and exploring and expanding and alchemizing, is to feel. So you are courageous. Anyone listening to this is hugely courageous to choose your authentic path in this world, to speak, to make the difference purely by being you.
Mm.
You're phenomenal. It is so easy to become part of the crowd. We all know that one. It takes
Yeah.
courage to stand up. It
Yeah, it
does.
does. Yeah. Very, very powerful. Yeah, and it does take courage, and we forget. We forget that we hold this strength as women. Um, what would you want all women to understand about themselves? Like, what is the deeper message that you want to bring for women?
The inside of you, no matter what's happened to you, no matter how you currently feel, no matter what's going on in your life, you have got everything inside of you. And I have seen it time and time and again. I had to reclaim it for myself, but I
Mm.
see and witness women regularly do it. So, because you very often, wherever you are, you'll feel small, you'll feel less than, all the things that can come in. And yet, once you touch that energy inside, which is your wholeness, your truth, I call it the wise woman, whatever name you want to put on it, you
Yeah.
will find everything, and you're untouched by anything that you've experienced. So again, if you've experienced trauma or abuse or any of these things, you can kind of feel not great about yourself. Yeah.
Mm.
But if you go inside, that truth of you is not touched by this, and it is waiting for you. And that's the gift when you go on the journey of reclamation of feeling, because you're actually going inside, and there she is, and she's waiting for you. And there will be countless times in your life that she's already come through. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You know,
Yeah.
it's she's there. And it's just the moment you just acknowledge and just start on this journey, she is holding you. And she is capable of just that unconditional love, like I talked about with my son. That's what the
Mm.
wise woman has, is unconditional love, but also the wisdom, the knowledge. So you're not led by others. You can walk with others, but
Mm.
you're not led by you become your own leader.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. And it's when you get to that point where you actually realize that, that's powerful. That
Oh
moment
my
when you
God.
realize that, that's true
Yeah.
power within yourself. Yeah, that's beautiful. What is
And
a simple,
the world
yeah,
around you responds as well when this happens, because your world changes. When you start to view when you connect your truth, you touch it, the world around you will change. And
yeah,
that's the magic. You're like, wow, I didn't even see that
absolutely.
before.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
absolutely ripples out, and like you said, you'll feel it, you'll see it in the world around you. What is a simple practice to feel more connected to yourself and to your life? Like what practice do you take your clients through?
I love EFT, emotional freedom technique. Is amazing because it's tapping on your points on your body, but also it's like a hug. It's every single point is saying to your system you're safe. So that's phenomenal. It is 100%, and it's a tool you can give to yourself, but also, to be honest, nature. Those are the two. And
Yeah,
once you go into nature, Mother Nature is there saying, just be here in this space. And you can feel, there've been so many times I felt the love from, and I'd be walking along, I could just feel this love, and it was all from Mother Nature just around me. And so when you immerse yourself in that, because also she teaches you about cycles. We're in a 24/7 society. It's not natural. Women
right.
are burning out because of it. When
Yeah,
this, we cannot live this way. We can't.
yeah,
Yet Mother Nature's got spring, summer, autumn, winter. So she's reminding you of the cyclical nature of yourself. So
yeah.
she is powerful medicine. So again, if you connect to her, you're then not fighting your body. If you're
Mm,
trying to push to be the societal, say 24/7, the body will be like jarring you, and it will come up with many things. But if you go
yeah,
into nature, you'll go, and here. So it's those present moment practices, because EFT will slow you down, and it will bring you into the present moment so you can feel your body. Your body's amazing. Mother Nature will do the same. You can feel your body, feel the crispness against your skin when it's a crisp
mm,
morning. Embrace the sun when it's coming down on you. It's like that. A sunrise,
yeah,
is just a blessing and a gift, because you've got this day in front of you. So all these kind of things, they'll bring you to the present moment, because it is in the present moment where we can extract. I have so many memories because I've been in the present. I'm in present, but also it allows you then just to honestly feel, and it's that
yeah.
to just be in the present moment, not. We've got motorways in the UK, so there's all the various lanes on the road, but you've got the slow lane, there's a middle lane, there's a fast lane. The society is on the fast lane, but Mother
Mm,
Nature and your body will say there are other lanes, come down.
mm. That's why it's so important for us to be connected, right? So especially for us as women, because we go through this cycle like every month, there are times when we actually can hop on the fast lane, and then there's times where we need to come to the middle lane, and then there's times we need to check out, completely get off the highway, right? So it's really important for us to truly become aware of who we are. And the only way for doing it, the only way you can do that essentially is by slowing down and sitting with yourself, right? Bringing your
Absolutely.
awareness in to who you are and kind of doing that inner work, right? For the people, for the listeners who don't know what EFT is, can you just quickly explain what it is and the process of what it is?
Yeah, it's emotional freedom technique. So it's based on the same points as acupuncture and acupressure, but you're basically tapping on points on your body. It's really gentle. We actually use some of them without realizing. So sometimes you can press against your here. That's one of the points.
Mm,
You can scratch your head. Well, the whole of the top of your head is a point. But what it does is it takes the system from fight or flight to rest or digest. So that's what it does. So but in doing that, you feel more relaxed and you can deal with whatever's in front of you. And also you can process things far better because it just softens the whole of your energy because it's saying to you, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. But a
mm,
lot of points you naturally use, even the ends of your fingertips are points. So someone who drums their fingers, they're
yeah,
actually, without realizing, they're self-soothing. So that's what they're doing.
yeah,
Kids in school would get told off for doing it, but actually they're soothing themselves. So it's got a valid, it's got a valid thing. But just the whole body just starts to relax. And when you start to relax, you can then connect to that voice, your true voice, rather than getting caught in the hamster wheel is what it called when you're getting anxious or you think, lots of things need to be done and you're feeling that pressure. You can literally just come down, come down. And even the words emotional freedom, it
mm,
allows things to flow. And that's one of the greatest gifts, what I love about it. And I learned it with the spiritual teacher as well. So it's got that element too. But it just,
mm,
when you come back to yourself and you slow down, you can access the answers that you're looking for outside. I don't know what to do. What do I need to do? And it would go, come here, come here, come here.
yeah,
And in the present moment, you drop into yourself and you can feel calm. Then your mind can just soften rather than being a tangle of, I don't know what to do. It can just literally soften. And in that soften, very often your own answer will come through, or it'll even just say to you, it's okay.
yeah,
But it means you can do it to yourself because when it's acupuncture, obviously there's a needle involved and you have to go to a practitioner. But you can use
mm,
any one of these points and it will just support you. So there's loads on YouTube that you can just see the
yeah,
points. But it's just it's those words, emotional freedom. Because in all honesty, I know for most of my life I wasn't. I wasn't
yeah,
emotionally free,
yeah.
and
And the body
that is
holds, yeah, sorry,
yes.
the body holds those emotions, right? And that's why it is so important for us to release the energy from those points and also do the nervous system regulation. And that's really, that's a really important part of letting go of traumas and things that have happened in our lives.
Yeah, I'm really grateful as well. There's an awful lot of teachers out there now that understand with body wisdom. There's Dr. Gabor Mate. His work is phenomenal. But like he
Yes.
understands that the more we hold, we can, there's the physical illnesses that can come because you're just holding something so tight in an area of your body because our bodies are amazing. It remembers and stores where we've been.
Yeah.
But that's also in its gift because when you work with it, it can open up and it can help you. Very often we fight our bodies. Oh, I'm tired, I must push through it. Or I'm hurting here, I must deny it. And we've been so taught to push, but it's the softening and the allowing and listening to ourselves. We are
Mm,
phenomenal at having 101 ears for other people. We've lost the ears for ourselves, but again, that's part of the life journey. It's almost like we deny ourselves. But when you
yeah.
start to listen to yourself, my goodness, a lot can be shown and will be shown to you. And life can soften because you're starting to listen to your own rhythm, your own truth, your own words.
Yeah. It's very true. Your words will kind of give it away, right? So the body mind connection, if you holding on to trauma in your body or you use certain words, it will become physical in your body. So sometimes, it's not actually I don't know, a stomach ache or stomach bug or a chest infection. It's actually the emotional side of what is happening for you. So I know that, excuse me, I know that I cover in my book, Spiritual AI, I actually cover the body mind connection. And it's really important for people to understand that even if you don't believe this, if you just look at some of the words we use, some of the expressions that we use, right? Like carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Quite often, if you carry a large weight, people will have tension in their shoulders. They'll have issues. Or if you can't let go of something, you could end up with wrist or hand problems, right? If you don't, if you feel stuck in the way you move through the world, you could develop issues around your legs and your feet. So people don't understand the power of words and the power of the emotional connection to the body. So yeah, it's really, really important that we learn these things.
And also then you can get fascinated with it, because then when, like with this knowledge, it's like, wow, you can start to explore. That makes you feel more empowered rather than feeling like you're stuck with
Absolutely.
something you don't know what to do. And like medicate, doctors and things aren't necessary, but they're a part of the puzzle. When you can
Yeah.
empower yourself and explore and just go on a journey with what's current for you, it will open up many things, and that's the gift.
Yeah, it is. It is, and you're right, it is a gift. It is a gift. It is not a curse. If you're struggling with something, if there's illness or, something happening in your body, it is a gift. And you need to start looking at it as a gift and start unraveling and start opening up and start peeling back the layers. Because I reckon probably 90%, like this is not a real stat, but I probably, 90% of the issues is probably connected to an emotional connection somewhere, a
Yeah.
trauma,
And
something that's happened. And once you can make that connection, you can dissolve what's happening in the physical body.
100%. And I'm also really mindful that it's a little bit disempowering when people are told that it's generational. You get old because your family had it. So they're very often they'll say, well, is there any in your history? Is there someone in your past or someone you're related to that's had this and this and this? But in reality, what's been passed on is usually the generational pain. So for my
Traumas.
mum, because of the boost that she had everything under the sun, and her arthritis, she was in so much pain for years. But it's because she held so much and she had so much happen to her, and it was held in. So
Yeah.
everything accumulated. So rather than when you go to a doctor's surgery and they'll say to you, well, did your mother or father have this and this and this? The deeper question is, what were they carrying that they couldn't release? That what stories were they holding on to? What pain couldn't they let go of?
Yeah.
Because she mirrored the pain that she was carrying inside of her, and it was heartbreaking, but she couldn't release it.
Yeah.
But so I witnessed but it was, and yes, her grandfather had arthritis, but then he had his things that were being passed on to him too. So
Yeah.
it's a little disempowering when people are told that it's because it's in the genes. Well, no, just go deeper and see actually what's going on, because I saw with my dad as well. I saw, so when things are not released and they're held on so tight, that tightness will constrict the energy, and it will have a physical effect. It will.
Yeah. It's I've never actually explained it like this, but as you were talking, it's dropped in for me. So it's a beautiful way that I can use this and explain it, is that it's not in the genes, it's in the programming.
Absolutely,
So
100%.
don't take it as your own.
Yes, and there's
Take it,
nothing you can do, you
listen,
know?
listen, yeah, listen to what they say thank you, say I don't accept that diagnosis, right? And then go and do the work.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a place for doctors if they need to take your appendix out or they need to heal a broken bone or they need to do surgery. There absolutely 100% is a place for that. But most of the stuff that we're struggling with, we claim and it becomes our own. So people need to understand that, stop claiming what other people say is wrong with you and start doing the investigation work around it, and you'll find that you can actually heal yourself.
100%. When I developed ME when I was 16, with myalgia and encephalomyelitis, it was massive. There was no one around me that had recovered. Any medical profession I went to, nothing. Support groups, they were in wheelchairs. So I was told that it was long term. But that voice, and I was not, I'd had the life I'd had. So I wasn't an open child. I was 16. But also not very closed. But that voice, there was a voice inside of me said no. And
Mm,
I did recover. And yet everything and everyone around me was telling me, and like I was in bed for the first year. My mum was brushing my hair, doing everything for me. I was seriously ill. I'd had glandular fever and toxoplasmosis, two huge things come. So I'd had both them, and they didn't find that out until 5 years later. They just did some tests on me, and like deeper tests, and found out that was still in my bloodstream. So it was major, but that voice inside of me said, no, this is not your life. And I recovered.
Yeah.
But it took me on the path I was meant to. So this is the thing of,
Yeah.
if there were people around me that were claiming it, and you could see they were completely and utterly disempowered because they'd been told the same thing. There's no, so they were in wheelchairs, because when you're told there's no hope, if you listen to it, and
That
so
becomes your reality. Yeah.
yeah, it does. And it's just that thing that there is so much to learn in everything. At the time, we may not see it. So I had to walk this, and like I've understood as I've got older as well, the deeper message, and then the deeper message again.
Yeah.
But there is a societal way, but then there's your truth. And the more you choose to touch that truth and accept that truth and honor that truth and listen to that truth, you come home. That's something no one can take away from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And no one has ownership of.
Mm.
No, except you.
Yeah. That is a very, very powerful message. So you are in control.
Yeah.
You are in control. It is your body, and you have the power within you to change whatever is happening to you, whether it is on a mental level, whether it is on a physical level. You have the power, and it is up to you to take the reins. It's up to you to do the inner work, to get out of wherever you are. So yeah, it's a really powerful message.
And we've got there are amazing teachers out there now, but also if you go far enough back in history, and I mean far enough back, you know, tribes were connected, communities were connected. There is, there's so much in our history that they were authentic, but also they were bonded to one another in a very true way. We do know what's missing in our lives, and there's part of it's a striving for it, but it's not what we've been taught. We've been taught about the exterior. You must accumulate this, you must have that. So you're striving for something that you may not even attain, because actually you don't need it. What you're really striving for is what's inside of you.
It's all inside, right?
Yeah.
It's all inside. When you first start on this journey and people start telling you the answers are inside you, I can remember when I first heard it. It's like, what? But the further but the further you get down this road, you realize it truly is. It's all inside. The healing comes from the inside. The manifesting money comes from the inside. Everything comes from the inside. So sit down and go inward.
Yeah, there are times, like I'm sure the same with you, there are times when it's like, oh my God, and there are still times now when something comes up, I could be on the floor breaking my heart. But then afterwards, the release and the relief and I've expanded, I can feel that I've expanded some more. So healing is not always a pretty journey.
Oh no,
And
healing is
please
ugly.
don't feel like, oh, it's going to be all, it's going to be all etheric and I'm going to be floating. And it's going to be, you do have those moments when you do, but before it, you'll have something really come and you will hold for it, dependent on what you've experienced, what you need to release. But I understand that nothing comes unless you're ready for it, because again, that wisdom within is saying, I need this space, you need to grow, let go. And let go means feeling.
Yeah, absolutely is. Sally, I'm mindful of the time. So what I want to do before we kind of end off the conversation is, can you please tell people where they can find you? I will have all the details in the show notes for the listeners, but please tell them where they can find you and how can they work with you?
Yeah, certainly. So I've got a website, because everybody has now, which is www wisewomanguide.co.uk. I'm on social media, so I'm Sally Ann Saint. And so just reach out. And there are so many ways you can work with me. It's as potent to do it online as it is in person, as we all, as you know, as we do know. It's the energy that you hold. And it would be an honor to work with anyone that feels called to, because just remember, your truth and your authentic living is what this world needs. The changes you want to happen in this world comes from you just standing up and coming home. It's simple as that. But I know what it takes. So if you're inspired, reach out. It would be an honor to work and walk with you.
Yeah, beautiful. Sally, thank you so much for spending time with me. I want to ask you one last question, and I want to ask you if you could give the listeners, if there's women out there listening and they are feeling a little bit stuck and they don't know how to move forward, what is the one thing that they can do right now that you know will support them and kind of start opening up the energy for them so that they can move forward?
Put your hand on your heart center, close your eyes and breathe, because your heart is not a tiny thing. You may feel small, you may feel stuck, you may feel lost. Put your hand on that heart center and just feel what's beneath your hands. There are many times in life when I thought I was nothing, but that heart center reminds you you're everything. Come
Yeah.
home, dear one, just come home. It just takes a moment. We've been fed too many lies. You need a truth, and that is the truth. Come back.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for your wisdom and sharing your beautiful gift with us and with listeners. I know that your journey forward is going to just blossom and be beautiful,
Thank you.
and that you're going to continue to share your wisdom with your son and with the world. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. I will make sure that Sally's details will be in the description for you. If you guys haven't grabbed your copy of Spiritual AI yet, go and grab a copy, because it will change the way you do the inner work. It will make it a lot easier for you. I promise you, this will make it a lot easier for you. Thank you so much for listening today, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Take care.